Okay, so I know that controls and variables can be difficult for some people, so we want to make sure that we understand what is happening. Now, if you watched the videos that I did, they explained what the different concepts mean. So let's do this one and make sure we understand this together. So, sting suppressant. Marlin wants to make his anemone home a safer place to live. He has created an ointment that he thinks will reduce the stinging power of the anemone. He recruits 100 neighbors that are willing to participate in his study. He had 50 of them, Group A, apply the new ointment to their scalps. The other 50, Group B, apply a mixture that looks exactly like the new ointment, but is really just a mixture of sand and dye. Both groups were told that they were getting the ointment that would reduce anemone stings. 2 hours after applying the ointment, 30 neighbors in Group A reported having fewer stings from their anemones, and 8 neighbors in Group B reported having fewer stings. So, just to get started, I want to go ahead and explain something called the placebo effect. The placebo effect is where you give a person something that's not really the experiment. So, for example, I want to try a new medication for eczema. It is a pill that you take and it's supposed to get rid of your eczema, which is basically a skin condition that people have. So what you would do is you would have 2 groups. You would have the group that you would give the actual medication to that would clear up the eczema. The other group, you're going to give them a placebo. A placebo is like a sugar pill. So in their mind, they think they're still getting it, but they're not. They're getting a sugar pill. The sugar pill doesn't have the same chemicals that the other one has. But the mind is a powerful thing, and it can actually trick you into thinking that it works, even though it doesn't. Okay? So I just wanted to explain that. That's called the placebo effect. When you give them something in replace of the real thing, and then their brain is like, oh yeah, I'm getting the treatment, and so they think they're okay. Really, they're not. The people who had the real drug for eczema, they're going to really improve. The people who got the placebo drug, the sugar pill, their eczema probably won't improve, but in their mind, it might trick them into thinking it is improving a little bit. So I just want to go over that with y'all before we get started. So, which people are in the control group? The control group is the group that we leave alone and we don't experiment on them. So in this case, it says that he had 50 of them apply the new ointment to their scalps. Well, that's new. And then the other 50 apply a mixture that looks exactly like the new ointment, but it's really just a mixture of sand and dye. So the control group is the group that is not experimented on. So they're not getting the new ointment. So the people who aren't getting the new ointment are going to be right here. It's going to be Group B. What is the independent variable? Now, in the video that you should have watched before you did this, the independent variable is the thing that the scientist is changing or experimenting with. So in this case, what is he experimenting with? The ointment. Then you have, what is the dependent variable? The dependent variable is the outcome. It's normally measurable. So it's kind of like cause and effect. So because the ointment was used, what's the effect? Well, we have fewer stings from the anemones. Well, we're not going to say fewer stings from the anemones. The dependent variable is a measurement, so it's going to be number of stings. It is a measurement. It's the number of stings. If you put fewer stings from anemones, that would be fine, but really we're counting the number of stings. What should Marlin's conclusion be? Did it work? That's what we're wanting to know. Is his hypothesis correct? Well, it says that 30 neighbors in A reported fewer stings, and 8 neighbors in Group B reported having fewer stings. Well, Group B didn't even have the medication, but they still thought that it was helping. So, is it really working? The answer is probably not, so the ointment doesn't work. doesn't work because if group A reported fewer stings and then group B had like, I don't know, a large number like 40, then yes, it would probably be working. But the fact that both of them reported fewer stings means that, you know, it's not really doing its job. The brain's tricking itself. And why do you think 8 people in group B reported feeling better? And that's because of that placebo effect that I discussed when we first started. So go ahead and pause now if you need to and get these answers written down. Okay, number 2, slimatosis. Nemo notices Squirt is suffering from slimatosis, which occurs when the shell develops a nasty slime and goes off a horrible odor. His friend Dory tells him that rubbing seaweed on the shell is the perfect cure, while Marlin says that drinking Dr. Kelp will be a better cure. Nemo decides to test this cure by rubbing Squirt with seaweed for 1 week and having him drink Dr. Kelp. After a week of treatment, the slime is gone and Squirt's shell smells better. What was the initial observation? So what's the first thing that Nemo noticed? Okay, well, it's going to be nasty slime and horrible odor. And that is slimatosis. What is the independent variable? So, what are we testing? We are testing the treatment. In this case, the treatment is 2 steps. It is going to be seaweed and Dr. Kelp. What is the dependent variable? It's the outcome. So what are we going to see? Okay, it's going to be slime gone and smells better. We're going to try to see if he is healed. What should Nemo's conclusion be? It said that after a week of treatment, the slime is gone and Squirt's shell smells better. So, did the hypothesis work? Is it a good one or a bad one? It is actually going to work. So, you could say that rubbing seaweed and drinking kelp, Dr. Kelp, sorry, can cure slimatosis. Okay, so at this point, go ahead and pause and write down the correct answer. How could this experiment be improved to be more accurate? Well, we should never test 2 variables at the same time. So I would say that you should test the seaweed and Dr. Kelp separately. To see how successful they are on their own. Okay, number 3, fish are friends, not food. Bruce was told that a certain nozzle cream was the newest best thing on the market and claims to decrease a shark's urge to eat fish. Interested in this product, he buys the special cream and recruits Chum and Anchor to help him with an experiment. Bruce develops a special testing area with decoy fish for Chum and Anchor. He meets with them once every day for a period of 2 weeks and keeps track of their results. Before each session, Chum's nozzle is lathered in cream, while Anchor's nozzle is lathered with regular scale lotion. Okay, now you have to look at this chart here. So here, the initial urges. Chum eats 18 fish, Anchor eats 5. After 1 week, Chum eats 24, Anchor eats 9. After 2 weeks, Chum eats 33, and Anchor equals Anchor eats 17 fish. Goodness, I can't speak. Which person is in the control group? So the one in the control group is the person they're not doing the experiment on. So if you look, Anchor's nozzle is lathered with regular scale lotion. Chum is not lathered in the cream. So the control group, the one not being experimented on, is Anchor. What is the independent variable? This is what the scientist is testing. In this case, if you go back to the top, they're testing a nozzle cream. And what is the dependent variable? The dependent variable is what is measurable. So these numbers right here, basically, they're talking about the shark's urge to eat fish. So we want a measure of that. So basically, the dependent variable, something measurable, is going to be the urge to eat fish. What should Bruce's conclusion be? Does the nozzle cream work? Well, if you look at this, it goes 18, 24, 33. Well, this one goes 5, 9, 17. There is no reducing the shark's urge to eat fish. So no, it doesn't work. So you would say the cream doesn't work. We're wanting to reduce the urge to eat, and these guys are just wanting to eat more. What could be sources of error in this experiment? Okay, now this was a hard one, but once you look at our guys, look at Chum and look at Anchor. Before they even started, Chum he had urges to eat 18 fish. Anchor had urges to eat 5 fish. Can you really compare these two guys and see if a cream works when they don't eat the same amount? That would be like, this is my husband and this is me. Could we really do a weight loss challenge and expect to get the same results when he eats way more than I do? No. Okay, so you have to have sharks that eat the same amount. Okay, sharks that eat the same amount. So this gives you 3 examples, and that gives you 1 more to do on your own based on what we've been going over. So I want you to try to do number 4 on your own, and then I want you to do number 3 and number 4 on here. Okay? Now for number 4, it asks for an average. It says average diameter. To get the average, you add up all your numbers. So add all these guys up, add them up, and then you're going to divide by the numbers, so by 10. So divide by 10. So add these guys up and then divide by 10. And that will give you the average for the Superruckle. And then we have these guys here. So you're going to add them up, and then you're going to divide by 10, and that will give you the average for the regular soap. That is the hardest part on there. Now I want you to go ahead and get these 3 done, and that's going to be the ones that I grade. So if you need help, I will be having some tutorials tomorrow. I will have a Google Meet during 7th period tomorrow. All right, guys. Thanks. Bye.